We live.
Mm-hmm.
We live.
Somebody once told me.
You're not the right is cool enough. Yeah. I know the melody, but I don't know the words. It's sad.
That's Smashing Pumpkins.
Kind of done with the finger.
We really coming back to the chop up with Smashing Pumpkins.
Can we get to the hook? 2, 3.
Well,
hey
don't
hey
stop
now.
Hey now, yeah, it all starts.
It don't stop coming and it don't stop coming. That's how it went.
That's another part, bro. That's another part. That's the bridge. That's the bridge.
So much to do, so much to say, so much.
I think that's where. I think that's.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely where we got that from. But what's good with y'all? People done pulled up while we up here singing, motherfucker.
Having choir rehearsal.
While we up here singing,
early 2000 pop.
Hey, now you
or was that late 90s?
All Star Smashing Pumpkins. I think that's late 90s. That's Shrek like 99.
No, I mean it was on the Shrek soundtrack, but I feel like the song was out way.
The song was older. Yeah, the song was older.
Like when
I feel like that song came out. Yeah.
Way older.
Yeah.
What's poppin', y'all? Come on in. Domini. I'm gonna think it's Domini. We ain't here kicking it. We ain't wilding. We just excited to be back for season 3.
Yeah. We back, man. It's the chop up. It's the chop up. As y'all come on in, y'all make sure to let us know where y'all from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where y'all tapping in from? Have y'all missed us? We missed y'all.
These people who on time to the game, because y'all know we was a little tardy to the party, a little CP time. We never say CP, but we mean CP. Miss Maisha, Damon's in the building. Salutations to you.
Andre,
good with you.
Rock,
Mark,
right?
Yeah, is that Joanne.
Appreciate all y'all.
Joshua is a more
Detroit, Mississippi.
San Francisco.
I do not watch Dragon Ball Z, Mark. But shout out to people that watch Dragon Ball Z.
No, he didn't say Dragon Ball Z, bro. He said Dragon Ball Super.
The super nerd. You should have asked that question to Dominique. That's who was the person.
I don't watch that either. I don't know what that is. I don't watch it. I don't know what it is. But shout out to you for watching it.
It's the new. It's the new.
Imani in the building from the SIP was good. We got Cavante from Detroit repping. Y'all drop her. Y'all from Lisa coming in.
Linda from Dallas. Linda from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? We got LA in the building. So we building.
Sunil popping in for the first time. We got a first time viewer, first time listener up in the building. Got to show y'all some love. If it's y'all first time, definitely put first time in the comments. Put first time in the chat.
Yo, we got Johannesburg, South Africa. We in here. We Charleston, South Carolina. We in here. Like
we got it looked like everybody present.
Jacksonville, Fort Valley. Yeah, man. We already rolling. New Zealand.
Okay.
What's up?
Hey, shout out to you, Candice. You know what I'm saying? Let us know how you feel about the show. You know, this is our first season back for first episode back for season 3.
Yeah, this is the first episode 2022.
We got a lot of first timers popping into the comments. Somebody say what we talking about today. I'll let y'all know. We gonna hat tip because we've been gone a little bit. So a couple things y'all been talking about already in the world. We've had a chance to listen in on a little bit and kind of figure out some things about. So we want to make sure we talk about the Whoopi situation, the Joe situation. We got to talk about Amir Locke tonight. It's Black History Month, so we're gonna dovetail into that. The plug has a chop for you. I think it's gonna be a surprise to me because I forgot what it is, but he's gonna tell y'all what it is in a minute. We got some news for you. We're gonna lay it down in terms of what
first political chop of the year.
Weeks. Yeah, political chop. Absolutely. We got to get on track for 2022. So a bunch of different things. Y'all sit back, y'all rock with us. And just in case y'all got to leave, if y'all on the East Coast, if y'all in another country, if y'all got to dip out, thank y'all for popping in now. But if you don't catch all of it, it's okay.
Circle back.
Listen, circle back.
Spin the block, man.
Spin the block on us. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube on the Consciously page, on our page, either the Consciously or the Chop Up Show or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you listen to your business on, just go catch the rest of it then. But either way it goes, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be a good conversation start to finish. So don't get left out. Don't feel bad about cutting it off. Just
don't be abandoned. For sure. But with that being said, we could go ahead and get the show started. We do got a new intro, you know, season 3. We got to upgrade. We got to do better. This is going to be their first time seeing the intro as well. So as a part of the Snapchat, you know what I mean? We can go ahead and grade the new intro compared to the old intro. But we're going to start the show the way that we always start the show.
In the city, we gon' slide, bet I be there pronto. Me, my guys, we really live. Lord forgive me, pay my tithes. Please don't have me reach inside, and that's in the console. Keep the semi when I ride, lit off Henny when I drive. In the city, we gon' slide, bet I be there pronto.
I love it. I
That
love
was
it.
dope. That
I
was
love it.
dope.
All right. I love it so much. I forgot I was supposed to slide in after that and tell y'all what's good, what's good, what's good. Good evening to you and welcome to the Chop Up Show. It's your girl Toya G. Definitely excited to be with y'all this evening. First Monday of 2022. We in this thing. Happy New Year again. Just in case you had to start over a couple times, it's all good. No judgment here. We are just happy to have you. As you saw in the video, you know my motto: live your life in higher definition. But I'm not by myself. I'm not by myself at all. I got a couple homies. Who else I'm with? The one in the middle. You go first.
Okay. Damo usually go, hey, you know, consciously. Make sure you can go to consciously.com. I got the Conscious University, you feel me? Identity politics course. A lot of things coming your way. Dish dialogue coming your way. You know, new segments, man. Glad to be back with the Chop Up, you know. Make sure y'all go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, check out all the old episodes and old segments. You know what I'm saying? It's going down.
Yeah.
Also, what's good with y'all? For all the new people that's joining us, I am Damo, the political plug. I'm a little under the weather, so I mean, yeah, this is my headboard. If anybody's questioning, I'm quarantined, I'm isolated. Nigga got, you know what I'm saying, the Rona. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm in here, but that wasn't about to stop from the premiere. You know what I mean? We about to get it in. I've been in this month. I've been here, sitting, thinking. So I got a lot to get out. You know what I mean? So bear with me. Let's get it.
Love it, love it. Well, actually, I'm gonna toss it back to Damo because he wanted to drop some important news about the guy in the middle, the Conscious Lee. You know, while we've been off and kind of away from y'all, things been moving and shaking real quick, and so we want to celebrate our brother right quick. Damo, go ahead and give us a scoop.
Man, so George is a very humble guy.
He's a humble guy.
He's a very humble guy, but he doing big things. If you now we broadcasting on the Chop Up YouTube, Chop Up Facebook, Consciously YouTube, Consciously Facebook, right? We don't cross those 4 platforms. If y'all go to the Consciously on YouTube, the boy's verified. Great check.
Yeah.
Verified on YouTube.
Shout out to YouTube, man.
The reason why Lee is verified on YouTube is because he is a part of the YouTube Black Voices Class 2022.
Come on.
Do you hear
stop graduating, y'all. Never stop graduating. Never stop graduating.
You know what I'm saying? So
you know,
he out here grinding. He ain't gonna. You know what I mean, like we this is our first time coming together as the Chop Up. So it ain't no way that we could get that thing started without congratulating the brother. You know what I'm saying? Just saying that.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
So
you know,
yeah, I mean, we can get it started now. But yeah, we got a celebrity now, y'all.
Okay.
We got a celebrity now.
All right. Since we're with the celebs, well, you know what I'm saying, I'm sure, and we call George the Beyonce. I'm glad that y'all showed us the beat. But Michelle and Kelly are also here to guide and push forward some things and be the support system that we all need. So we're going to get into the show for the night and start off with the Snapchat. And with the Snapchat, just 3 real quick conversations about what's been happening in the news cycles real quick so we can tap back in and make sure we talk about some things we know. Whoopi Goldberg, who we know her real name is Karen Johnson. And a lot of people have continued to point back to that. Her real name is Karen Johnson.
Because I knew her name like Goldberg, Jewish controversy.
The irony, right? She actually changed her last name to kind of, I think, push back against the challenges to her relationship with a white Jewish man. At one point, she was married to a white man, I think in the 80s or something like that. But at any rate, she was.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So help us move the conversation along. But she was recently scrutinized and went as far as being suspended from her lead anchor. I think they would call her a anchor role on The View. She was suspended after saying the Holocaust was not about race, that it was not a racially charged issue, and she basically came under fire even after apologizing for these hurtful comments. And so, one second.
Now,
my bad. But basically, a lot of issues, a lot of conflicts arose from that, and a lot of questions have been circulating about what's going to happen with her, if she's going to return, what's going to happen when she's returns. I'm interested to see what she's going to say. Real quick, first feedback, first responses to the Whoopi controversy. And by the way, y'all better talk to us in the chat about this situation. But I have two questions. My first question is just your first response. Was your first response like, yeah, Whoopi, or was your first response like, no, oh my God, this is bad. This is about to be very bad. This is about to go bad.
My first response was like, hell nah, Whoopi, hold on, man. You don't start with this had nothing to do with race. It was human. It started off as like, that sound like some colorblind bullshit. And you recognize that a lot of that Aryan nation shit is like, that was quote unquote Hitler's racial purity propaganda. You see what I'm saying? They literally took like Jewish skulls and Jewish brain sizes and was like, yeah, these people are racially impure. So I think that for me, it was like, Whoopi, you too old for that, Whoopi.
Okay.
That's how I feel on my first shit.
Yeah, I mean,
first response.
So the funny thing about it, my mama called to ask me about it. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't hear about it from nothing else. Like, she was the first one to give me the info. You feel me? When she broke it down to me, as soon as she said it, right? My mama was like, yeah, she was right. And I'm like, no, she wasn't, mom.
She was not right.
Because I was like, she said that the Holocaust wasn't about race. It was a whole master race narrative. Like the word itself, master
race. Like literally.
that was associated with the justification of that the genocide that took place. So it's like that, like the analogy that I've been saying is that that's like saying the Civil War didn't have nothing to do with slavery. How?
Yeah.
How? You know what I mean? So that was my initial reaction.
Quite initial reactions in the comments. A lot of people said, I think a lot of people said that they were shocked. Dennis said, I ain't gonna read what Dennis said, but Aurora said, my first response was confused. Dale said, I've never agreed with what they do or are doing because you is all about what the view is supposed to give me an opinion about what's going on, and it really upset me. Okay, so definitely kind of on the fence about that. Rock was shocked. Rock Simone said, I was kind of shocked. Her comment was actually tone deaf AF. Daisy said, I was not shocked. And then Lady Capo said, I knew it would be bad. So it's a lot of back and forth about it. And this is where I want to get to Neil's comment. Neil says, I had the same understanding as Whoopi initially. The apology was warranted, but the suspension was too much. And so with that, I mean, a lot of people saying, okay, cool. We're going to get to Joe Rogan in a second, but we got the Joe Rogans of the world. Spotify is only making him take down certain episodes, but his show is still up. We got a lot of people saying a lot of wild stuff every day, and we just kind of debate over it in social media, but they don't have to disappear. This Black woman is being, disproportionately targeted. She's, being, this is being blown out of proportion. She needs the same sensitivity as the sensitivity training they're going to try to give to her. She needs the same kind of response to her perspective. It's the view. It was her view. So do you feel
this is where I have to partially push back?
I ain't finished my question, but I'm gonna slide to your pushback. My question.
No, because if you're gonna pose it, if that's how you're gonna pose it, then you got it. Go ahead, pose
the question. The question I'm posing is should there have been a punishment in the first place? And the punishment, part B of that, is if your answer is yes, was that punishment too grandiose? Would have been what do you think would have been more appropriate for this situation in the 2022 world where we have, a Black woman's perspective on race kind of creeping into a conversation where you all are saying she's clearly wrong?
So now that you asked the question, I'm still gonna push back.
I love that. Now it makes more sense. Push back.
but the narrative, right?
Right.
The idea that it was like that it's not proportional, like how she's being treated, it isn't, proportionate to like what took place. However, you have to look at how they treated Meghan McCain. There's no way they couldn't have suspended Whoopi Goldberg as many times they admonished Meghan McCain for her conservative viewpoints. So as much as like the way that we looking at it is like, she like Meghan McCain said some stuff that was out of pocket. So, she deserved that. Well, from their perspective, it's like, even though as Black people, there's something that we're attaching ourselves to, and that's the conversation where people attempt to create a parallel between the Jewish experience and the Black experience and that type of oppression. You feel me? And that's where we pushing back on. But the idea that it didn't have anything to do with race, you know what I'm saying? And even the white on white violent comments, that's shit that we say. You don't say that to white women. They don't get it.
Right.
We talk about white on white violence to each other as a way to understand that that's not something we need to involve ourselves with. Right. That's why we use that phrase. So when like people trying to go hey, let them do that. Don't go to that January. You know what I'm saying? Don't go there and try to protest with Trump. That's white on white violence. Let them do that. So that's an internal thing. So the fact that she said that on The View is she already out of code. You know what I'm saying? Her audience already ain't receptive to it. Right. And there's already a desire to kind of be seen as fair and make sure that if she stepped out of pocket the same way Meghan McCain did, then she had to.
But was Meghan McCain, because she said she had said a lot of inflammatory and just kind of straight up problematic or really borderline and such things. Was she regularly suspended? That's my thing. I don't really keep up on The View like that. I would just catch little sound bites. I think were those things resulting in suspensions?
I think she may have been suspended once. I'm not sure, but she definitely was heavily admonished. I think she was suspended once, but she ain't. I don't think she on there no more because it was just like they just got tired of the back and forth. I do think she was suspended once, but she was consistently admonished by the studio.
What you mean by admonished? Like, what do you mean?
That's what I'm saying. But you because I mean,
what does that mean by admonished? What does that mean? What do you mean?
You are the anchor and the heartbeat and the cornerstone of the show.
And so I just want to know what you mean by that too, because I don't know what you mean by that.
No, they publicly spoke out against the shit that she said. Like on the show and in the media, they publicly spoke out against the stances that Meghan McCain would take. I'm not saying it like that it's a direct parallel. Like I think I don't think it's the same. You feel me? But that's just why when she put herself in that position, these are the type of this is the type of shit she asked for, just given the circumstances.
Okay, my last question, y'all, before we transition over to Joe Rogan about this is because Plug, you kind of grappled with this with your last statement, but and Joanne, you just kind of asked the question: what definition of race are we using here in this space right now? I think that's what matters, and I think that is a larger framing question for a lot of what Whoopi was trying to say. You know, when we think about race and the conversation we're trying to have about race, some people are like, Whoopi is ignorant, she's behind, right? There's not a true calculation. When you say that Jewish is not a race, or that dealing with that at the racial intersections of what we know to be race in America is not a thing. Do y'all think Whoopi is behind, or do you think she was talking over people's heads and kind of getting at, number one, the obvious, the way that race kind of exists and is materialized here now in a contemporary 2020 world where white appearing Jewish people get access to whiteness? So do y'all think she was ahead of the game and kind of just overstanding race and how it functions and maybe over talking her audience in that regard? Or do y'all think she was completely kind of behind and just really hasn't evolved into an understanding of the fact that race was the focal point of the Holocaust? What y'all think?
I think that what she was trying to say came from a good space, genuine space, even though it was, what I'm saying, quote unquote, deaf, like tone deaf. I just think that it requires a lot more nuance and complexities in what she was trying to deliver. And you feel me? Because what she delivered was so flat and not being able to account for them unique textures in terms of like the Jewish diaspora, the Jewish ethnicity, because I can recognize the Jewish identity, I should say, you know what I'm saying? Because, depending on who you're debating with, some people will say it's an ethno-religion. Some people will say that it's a race. Some people will say it's just a religion. What's undeniable is the racial aspect of the Holocaust. You see what I'm saying? And I think that we can recognize today that in America, especially, that there's a different, you feel me, racial spectrum in how we identify white Jews. You know what I'm saying? But we also recognize that when we start to talk about the Black Jewish experience or the Jewish experience versus the Black experience, it erases that Black Jewish or the Black Jews. You see what I'm saying? People that live in that intersection. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it could have just been, done with a little bit more tenacity, you feel me, and recognizing that what she said, it wasn't because it wasn't able to account for the nuances, it made it come off as being entirely anti-Semitic. You know what I'm saying?
I think I just think it was clumsy. I guess that's the best way I would describe it. It was surface level and handled very, it clumsy. Like she kind of like waffled with it. I mean, because like I said, our argument against it is only when there's an attempt to draw a parallel between the experiences. Because again, when we talk about Jew and white, like those things aren't mutually exclusive. You feel me? You got white Jews, so that conversation is much more complex than just saying that it didn't have nothing to do with race. But I think my criticism was twofold. First, our language needs to be more subversive and it needs to be more deliberate. Like that was really just a flippant comment that she made, like just sitting on a talk show. Like if we were sitting in the barbershop, or you know what I'm saying, if we were sitting somewhere with the family at the it was just a flippant comment that she made, and she just forgot where she was at. You know what I mean? And so
I think she was trying to appeal though to that color blindness, multicultural. This is a humanitarian crisis. You feel me? A fight against humanity type shit, like almost like a moderate liberal speaking.
Nah, bro, because she said it's white on white violence. She said that's white on white. So she was really saying like the question of race has more to do with the black experience. But the issue I have with that is when we attempt, like when people talking about the Holocaust and we attempt to center the black experience, like in like juxtaposed to the Holocaust, it's like you're inviting them to undermine like what we went through.
Yeah,
like they not attached to either one of those. So when we are trying to center like the conversation of like, oh well, you know, that ain't got nothing. When that, let them, if you know that that's white on white violence, let them have that conversation. Because when you start to introduce, well, they ain't have to go through what black people went through, then it's like, well, they went through this. Did y'all go? Now it's that tit for tat back and forth that
what we used to call a race to the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Which don't really help nobody, because what happens is then when they don't get it and they miss it, then all of a sudden we have the lazy comparisons between slavery and the Holocaust. Then we have the lazy kind of conversations about the individual and particularized types of violence that are very real, right? And I won't even say individualized and particularized, because anti-Semitic violence is a very real thing, but the way it materializes, the way it plays out, it is different, right? Like it kind of just moves and materializes itself. So when you try to talk to black people about race, you know, it is both a need for black people to broaden, I think, the interpretations of race. The question was asked, well, what do we mean by race, right? When we mean the pretend, make-believe, pseudo-scientific and sociologically created identification or demarcation or separation of people by happenstance, right? By systems of colorism, right? The social hierarchy created by colorism. But then when you look at a demonic being such as Hitler and you see the language of race being used, that might necessitate that we zoom out a little bit and broaden our interpretations of that. But it's hard to do when you have such a particularized relationship to white supremacy, to anti-blackness, and to race in this country, right? As descendants of slaves, to broaden, because I mean, really our positionality in the context of slavery is just so fixed. I'm sorry, in terms of race and racism is just so fixed. So it's hard. I think everybody, even in the comments, shout out to y'all for talking. Know that we see them. We can't always talk about every comment, but definitely have conversations.
Definitely see the comments. We appreciate the engagement. Definitely
keep them going, because they catch our eyes and we're able to weave them into the discussion. But I think everybody is, at least I'm in agreement. And I think that the general idea is what Plug has been saying, which is you got the wrong audience, right? Conversation, wrong audience. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to mess them up every time. So let's get to Joe Rogan. Really don't have a whole lot to say.
Let me play the video. Just let me play the video.
Well, let's the video that I sent you.
Yes.
Then let's frame it, because Joe Rogan has since apologized. So India Arie, over the course of the weekend, we had a lot of people start to pull off of Spotify. Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, a bunch of different artists. Beyond and the list was some nototable people who little bit by little bit start pulling that content off of Spotify because of Joe Rogan. If y'all don't know, Joe Rogan has what we deserve, which is $100 million contract with Spotify for his podcast. His podcast is also available on other platforms, which he makes a lot of money off of, but that's his bread and butter, and how we have come to know him as not Joe Rogan. Y'all remember Fear Factor? I don't know if y'all remember News Radio. He used to be a cool guy. He used to be a funny dude. I don't know if y'all knew he was a comedian. That's what he's known as. Now he's a person who gets to get on public platforms and say the N-word hard R, I think 70 times. Is what the compilation video that India Arie created and released reflected. Was 70 times he was able to get away with saying the N-word on his Spotify podcast. Now he has since apologized and been enlightened.
It wasn't always on Spotify though. So
okay,
like a lot of this was said before. A lot of this was said before his deal.
Only proves that Spotify should have never gave him the deal. No, and that they are in alignment with white supremacy and are passing out money to the wrong people. But
subscribe to the Chop Up Show.
What's important about this is that he apologized. But amidst this apology that he had, the standard typical, now that I know better, I didn't realize that context was like super important and everything I was saying was taken out of context. So you really have to understand, I'm just kind of referring, whatever. But here's what makes his apology disingenuous and why I agree with Mongo Slade that he's out of here. right? Go ahead and play that beautiful being footage. The plug.
Out here.
I don't know. Should I trigger one?
I feel like I always thought of
Trigger
my
warning.
name is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan.
Yeah. I was gonna say Fear Factor.
Like, I'm thinking of Fear Factor and Dave Chappelle, and just like, hey, NBC, y'all wild as hell for giving us Donald Trump and Joe Rogan, but that's another conversation.
Let's get it.
Your intent. When you say the N word, you're saying like, it cannot be spoken. It cannot be uttered. It is a sacred word.
Yeah.
It is a magic word. If you say it, Candyman will come.
Right.
You know, it's very weird. It's very weird that we've ever allowed that. It's one thing, like, you could say spick. No one's going to get mad. You know? Like, it's not as racially charged. You know?
Yeah.
And then there's other ones that, like, you can just get away with all day. Like Irish ones or Italian
Mick or Guido or
they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You can call me a Guido all day. I don't give a fuck. No one cares. No one
Shank
gets
is a
mad at
tough
that.
one. They get very upset about
Shank's
Shank.
rough.
Yeah.
Gook. How about Gook? That's a rough one.
Oh, that's a really rough one.
Yeah, but the N word, you won't say it. Look at you. Say it.
Nigger.
It's a charged word.
Nothing happened.
See, but if you.
Okay. First of all, shout out to Malik. We glad you back. We missed you too. Now about this video. Context is all there. And the context that we saw was what I like to call, and I'm sorry, my mama's here, I'm gonna say it anyway. Shits and giggles was the context for that. From Joe to the sidekick to everybody involved in that. Everybody just wanted to kind of keep
like Zach Turner said, man, it is white humor, man.
It's wild. Right. So, and to answer the question, no, he didn't get canceled. Zach mentioned that Spotify has decided to lambast him to egregiously disagree with the things that he did, but just like all white people want to do, just like all white people want to do, they don't want to shut off the avenues for communication and an open flow for expression. We feel like these difficult conversations need to be had. So we want to make sure that there's still a platform and a space for people like him to continue to grow through these experiences. And what they've done is then taken $100 million, which they also need to send to us. Y'all tell Spotify about us. But of course, is spending their money in the name of marginalized voices and populations who need platforms and spaces on the show and so forth and so on.
See, man, woo, boy, hey, man, I think
man. Talk to us.
No, yeah, go ahead, George. Go ahead. Because we need to get to the chop. So go ahead. Yeah,
I think that in the words that Tatoya say, you know what I'm saying, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. I think that looking at the comment sections and looking at a lot of timelines, a lot of people sliding into some actually cut my lights off.
I'm talking about it when you were dark on us, brother.
Dark on you. Hold on, let me see. But
look, while he's fixing these lights, because I can't. Yeah, y'all know I can only hold on for so long. Go ahead.
It's easy. Yeah. But I think that a lot of people are sliding into white supremacist rhetoric and how they are trying to one up, you feel me, Jewish, you know what I'm saying, identities, and talking about, if this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other. And I think that there's a criticism that you can make about how we're able to hold people accountable for disrespecting the humanity or disrespecting the identity. We recognize that Joe Rogan was able to get away with what he was able to get away with, like a lot of non-black people are able to get away with in terms of just engaging in the social death of black people, the disrespect, disregard, dehumanization of black people, and they can get their ass diversity and inclusion trained up out of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
recognize that no black person is
able
to be able to say I was uneducated, and that's the reason why I made an insensitive claim. A lot of times, black folks, we get pissed off and mad about the lack of respect or apology that we'll get when we are offended, and then how sincere and genuine that apology is. We recognize right now, you feel me, that Whoopi Goldberg did something that was bad. She acknowledged what she did was bad. She apologized, and she still was reprimanded. I think with this Joe Rogan thing, we get to see how people get to always already negotiate how anti-black you can be while, you feel me, trying to negotiate whether it's encroaching on your freedom of speech or you feel me? Because people in the comments, we hear you saying, well, they wasn't caring about Whoopi Goldberg's freedom of speech. We hear you. We get that. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to make it where all three of us seen the shit. You see what I'm saying? But we want to make sure that we clear. A lot of y'all was being lost in the sauce in some Hitler white supremacist logic. Well, this is the last thing I say to end this rant. When you say that the Holocaust also killed Africans, that just justifies our point on some debate shit because we're saying the Holocaust was racial. So you point out another racial minority, not feel me make the point you think it's making. It literally only reifies the point that we are making. You know what I'm saying? But I divest now.
Yeah.
So check this out. It's as simple as this. It's 2022. We don't have to look at privilege and be like, well, damn, let me shut up so I'm not lynched. No, fuck that. Like, as much as for every bit and inch of right and privilege he has to make those statements, everybody that condemns him have the right to do the same same thing.
And to call for his head while they doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, all of that is inbounds.
Exactly. I think a lot of the conversation is associated around whether or not we should let people. Black people don't let nobody do nothing. People do what the hell they want to do, and we got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I think what we saw there was when people talk about privilege doesn't exist, you just saw it. You just looked at it. You saw it have a conversation. They sat there and giggled. Say it. Say it. Nigga.
Listen.
Yeah.
Hard R too.
Do you know? But here's the thing, because to a certain extent, right, there is a clinical way to look at people who find glee, joy, and folly in these types of like socially problematic situations. Like, that is a personality disorder, right? In a lot of different ways. And this is not to flippantly. This is not to you said I have it. This is not to flippantly like just die, but like the happiness. Did you see the joy and the kiki? Like, that is some demented kind of wild. Like, he should have had to go and be suspended and go through therapy, the same sensitivity trainings they make everybody sit through. And Whoopi got to meet with Holocaust survivors and talk to. None of those things are bad. Sure. Let's bump up the education. But the very just joy and giggly teenage girl nature that they exhibited in that video is disgusting enough for me to say, I think you need to go be seen, context or not. Maybe I can grant you all other 69 of those videos had context, but that one video should have been enough to be like, no way.
I mean, and this would be the last thing I say.
Those 69 other ones might have had context, but this one right here.
Before you put a bone into you, but
yeah.
Like, let's think about like when they talk about, well, you know, the conversation needs to be had. They weren't having a conversation.
Yeah,
there was nothing intellectual about what was being said. They was calling into question the impact of being called a nigger publicly. That's what they were calling into question. The reason why
calling into question how black people have the ability to say who can and can't say that word. They want to really on some niggas, like really what we should argue and debate.
Yeah. Right, but let's be clear here though. The reason why Spit, Guido, like I don't even really know what like those terms really.
A lot of those terms, like fam, I've never heard those terms.
But bro, the reason why they don't have that same
also,
impact
again, context, because you just use some slurs, so we're using them in the context of the Joe Rogan video. So let's we don't.
I'm not trying to just flipping. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't even understand the cultural impact like of that language. So I do apologize if I did just offend anybody. But
I'm not gonna say none of those words because I don't know the context of them shirts. So it's just like
So I do apologize. Thank you for that, Toya. But to be clear, I like that language doesn't have the same social relationship that nigger has. It doesn't have the same power dynamics that exist in the United States because it doesn't matter your ethnicity. From, you know, in Europe, you got Eastern Europe, you got Western Europe, you got Southern Europe. They all beefed. But when they came to the United States, you was able to opt into whiteness as long as you was able to identify the nigger. That's the power dynamic that make that shit dangerous.
No.
That language means something specific here. The words you talking about, that's what they used in Europe but they abandoned that culture.
And here's the
nigger, and I'll just say this last thing I say. Shout out Ronald Judy. Niggers, specifically in English context in the Western society, means slave labor. Whenever you're referring to a black person, or we're just talking about that word in and of itself, it means a human being that was reduced to that of a tool.
And that's the uniqueness that all those other terms. That's just like, yeah, when the world bought into black people being called niggers and objects and slaves, the whole world bought into it. Them other terms he was talking about, the world didn't buy into reducing that entire group to that term so much that a lot of those terms I never heard before. And I think that these two things we're talking about, the Whoopi Goldberg conversation with anti-Semitism and the anti-blackness of Joe Rogan, I can only think of Afro-pessimism. What you was getting into, Toya, was Joe Rogan has the libido economy that's just triggered by anti-blackness. This man literally jacks off in his goddamn hand because black suffering and violence. He comes to it. He literally gets off with it. You feel me? That's what you was getting at. Cathartically, like, you seeing him say it. Oh my God, say it. Oh my! He literally is what he was. That's the libido economy of anti-blackness. You feel me? But also getting into what we are recognizing is how, you feel me, the distinction in the historicals, you know what I'm saying, things. Well, they'll take, like, some people call it, you know what I'm saying, want to reduce it and say that's suppression of the Olympics, but we know shit how Afro-pessimists put it. You feel me? The African went into the African Holocaust as African and came out as slave.
Come on.
You feel me? The Jews went into the Holocaust as Jew and came out as Jew. And that's the difference. And a lot of the stuff we recognize is that when Whoopi Goldberg is getting what she's getting at, we all recognize, you feel me, that anti-Semitism ain't nothing to play with at all. As a matter of fact, we know it so much right now as we speak. There's a gentleman that for the 5th time has emailed my university saying consciously is anti-Semitic because he recognizes that if I can say a person for the 5th time.
You only told me about the first 2. You told me he did email 3 more times.
Listen, bro, I don't suckers do sucker shit. You see what I'm saying? But my point into bringing it up right now is people recognize how you can weaponize, you feel me, throwing this on somebody regardless of what they did or what they said because you don't like them. You see what I'm saying? At this point, he showed that I'm going to throw this anti-Semitism shit at the wall until it sticks. I don't care what consciously does for Jewish community. I don't care how many people he bring on to the Chop Up Show to talk about the Jewish identity and Jewish history. I don't care who he does or what he does. I don't like that guy, and I know that if I can say that black ass nigga is anti-Semitic, I can end him. You see what I'm saying? And
this is our 3rd episode talking about anti-Semitism. This is our 3rd.
More than our third episode. Shit, we talked about it 3 times just with LeBron James.
My signal was kind of messing up a little bit, but here's what I'll say to kind of round it out. And it was something, you know, I want to dovetail to what George was kind of getting at, and it is the insatiable desire and appetite for the perfection of white supremacy. If you've noticed, they got a whole dictionary, a whole lexicon, pick a group, all the list of words that they dropped. We pointed out in this conversation. We don't even use that language. Either white people using it against white people or white people using it toward non-white people. Yeah. But these are their words.
Words, man.
9 times out of 10, even if black and brown people end up using it against each other, the root of that language is not in our vocabulary, not our language. You know what I'm saying? And particularly for black people.
Like if
of course, there are slurs for black people. I want to be clear about this because white supremacy got people fighting against each other that shouldn't be. Eyes on the wrong enemy. Colorism exists in all these communities. There are negative and derogatory terms for black people in a bunch of different languages.
Every language, right? You got to flip.
But this is all a reflection of the colonizations of language that have taken place. Because I'm gonna steal your people, I'm gonna steal your culture. I'm gonna make sure you talk bad about other people and other black people and other people who look like black people, even though they're not even black or have African descent. I'm gonna make sure y'all know how to talk about them and point them out because we got to continue the agenda of white supremacy.
Got to.
Right. We got to make sure you've internalized white supremacy. So even if you're not white, you think you white and want to subordinate other people who don't look like you. Right. This is all agenda based, and it's all leading back to the insatiable appetite of the perfection of white supremacy. So just make sure y'all recognize, you know, when them leaves fall off the branches and when the fruit falls, that you know the tree that it came from, the origins of all of that that's growing out of this. Whoopi, Joe, all of this is white sub. I'm gonna tell you, words mean things. Words have power. Discourse shapes reality. Half of the reason why people have not responded to gun violence, to white supremacy, to violence towards trans and queer folks, to anti-black violence is because of language, of words, of how we have described our reality. So it's not an overemphasis on language. It is that's the centerpiece of how we've come to communicate. You know, people. I'm I'm gonna stop preaching and teaching today. I almost gave y'all a word.
Yeah. Hey,
Hey, man,
can we
hey.
end it on white people? White people, Lynn?
White people will white people.
Yeah,
They
white people will white people. They will white
Last
people.
thing I'm
But
gonna
don't
say,
be surprised.
because we 40 minutes into this snap chop, so it didn't snap at all. But
Mm-mm.
I'm not gonna let it end before we
Or
talk about Amir
or
Locke.
we snapped the hell out of it, goddamn.
Yeah, a couple times.
Look, last thing I want to say before I turn it over to my colleagues, to my brothers, to my friends, is about Amir Locke. Rest in peace to Amir Locke, y'all. We got another situation on our hands, and we cannot afford to fall asleep behind the wheel while these discussions are taking place. Much in the same flavor, rhyme, and reason of our dear sister Breonna Taylor, who was shot and killed in her home, in her bed, as she slept or attempted or was woken up and jarred by this no-knock warrant that was to the wrong house, and had nothing to do with her. Amir Locke was killed in his sleep. 22 years old, same city where we saw George Floyd be assassinated, be murdered. The young man was sleeping on a couch at a home that was not his. Keep in mind, they was at the wrong apartment. No charges against him. Had nothing to do with it. They burrowed in, and within seconds, maybe 3 or 4, shot and killed him as he slept on the couch. He reached for a gun out of instinct. By the way, he was licensed to carry the gun. Carried and concealed, I think, license up to date. He was an entrepreneur, I think a business owner. And so had the gun sitting on the coffee table right next to the couch, reached for it, killed him in his sleep. Lot of kind of background conversations, but y'all know how it happens, and you know how it is now. When these things happen, they happen so often. The shouts turn into whispers unless you right in there in the city, unless you right in there on the front lines of it. And so only now and again do we get big, pushback like we got for Breonna Taylor, but do we get big outcry like we got for George Floyd? So I don't really have a lot to say outside of the obvious. Like, I don't have any questions. I don't think there's a question I could ask the Consciously or the Political Plug about it. That would and then also rest in peace to Trayvon Martin. Just his birthday was
on the 5th.
Yesterday. Very recently. Yesterday.
2 days ago. His birthday was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And so this
27?
I think so.
27.
I think 20. Yeah, I think last year was 26. It's 27. So I think back to me and Consciously were together in Baltimore on the campus of Towson University, working together with some kids, teaching some kids at the Eddie Conway Liberation Academy, ECLI Institute, rather.
Yeah.
And when we were getting the news, watching things unfold, I think the trial was happening, and we were at ECLI when we found out that there would be no conviction of George Zimmerman. So just a couple minutes to say y'all's, which I got to say, I'm really just closing this out, making sure we talk about this young man, his life, his murder, his murderers. Right. If I'm not mistaken, the same judge that signed the no-knock warrant was the same judge who presided over the George Floyd case. So just to show you how this overlaps are, how small the world is.
I don't that there was the no-knock warrant wasn't signed off on.
Really?
Yeah.
Another plot twist.
Yeah, but no-knock that's just,
I feel like, man. I think I'm about to say, cause I know I'm at the next shot, man. But I guess, man, like I feel like one of the things I recognize as a content creator is that so many people always expect for you to be able to know what's going on in the news at a certain time. You so used to always reporting tragedies that you damn near start blocking them out. You know what I'm saying? The black woman that goddamn went on a date, a Bumble date, a Tinder date with the white dude, and now she came up dead. And that I feel like it's so many stories that I've been that I've been tagged in, that have been emailed to me.
Dude killed his baby mama and the baby with a hammer type shit.
All type of different shit. You feel me? It make it where you just become so exhausted from hearing these stories, where it's just like, damn, you feel me? But this one right here, you know what I'm saying, is definitely wild. And I just recognize I did a few videos, damn near on Facebook too, you feel me, like a couple of days ago or before I did my little break. And I was talking about how the NRA don't be messing with niggas. And it's like, hey, that's the, you know what I mean? But I digress. I do my research on that one, man. Yeah. I think we had a hell of a Snapchat. You know what I'm saying? I ain't taking no mental notes or no points either, but we had a lot of points in there.
So the chat saying that I thought I had read that it wasn't signed off on, so I have to go back and because
I don't know much about it. I
briefly, like when I see the stories, I make sure I know the name, I know the face. I mean, I don't watch the video because that's actually how I first learned about it. Is like they had the body cam footage.
See shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
And I seen the beginning of it, and when I realized what I was seeing, I cut it. I saw it. I cut it off. So Yeah, again, so I do apologize if I was wrong about that. I'm gonna look into it though.
Yeah, and too though, today is Sandra Bland's birthday though. Today Sandra Bland would have been 35. Today's Sandra Bland's birthday, and today's my little sister's birthday too. She turned 30. You know what I'm saying?
She's still alive.
So let you know, what I'm saying? Yeah, my sister is still alive. You feel? My sister's still alive. And something that was also eerie when I looked this up is that Trayvon Martin's birthday is in February, and he also was killed in February. So a lot of just crazy things, you know what I'm saying, that happened in February. And I would say that Trayvon Martin really radicalized the whole generation. You feel me? A lot of us, Trayvon Martin's death in trial showed us that shit was not sweet, and showed us that a lot of things that we thought that, you feel me, we had lived past grandma and Auntie Nim's America. Nah, we still in that same America.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. But I mean, the last thing I say on it is I think it just kind of goes to show that again, when we talk about like the system of policing, it's not people that are criminalized, or it's not actions that are criminalized, it's people. You feel me? So like these actions aren't going to be seen as criminal, even though an innocent person was killed. They didn't have nothing to do with what was going on, because this is like that's collateral damage to the police state that we live in. You feel me? Like if you look at a lot of the global watchdogs that look at how different states and how people live under, you know what I mean, in certain areas, United States is not seen as really as free as they want to make shit seem. And the reason why is because everybody outside of this mug can look and see that
my mama watching y'all, so Dominique try not to cuss.
They can look and see, you know what I'm saying, the way that policing is handled in the United States, and see that it's still a function of racism. It's still a function of white supremacy. So
my mama said, talk to the people. She said, free yourself. But yes, listen. Bottom line of this is we can't get tired. We can't let these conversations get old. We can't let them fall out of our dialogue. And we got to make sure that we are making space and keeping space to acknowledge the craziness. I want to send love and peace and hope to everybody up in Minneapolis. We know it could be any city at any time, but that city seems to like consistently be hit, which is what Pamela Jean is getting at. Minneapolis stay in the mix. I mean, that's something I noticed as well. But I want to be clear about that real quick. Before we transition out, want to show love to people who pulled up in here, maybe not at the start of the conversation. We know we rocking late, and anybody who's like, ooh, it's kind of don't worry about it. Rock with us as long as you can. But if you got a dip, just catch us on the flip. That rhyme. On SoundCloud. I mean, on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and on Blog Talk Radio. So it's love for y'all. We happy y'all rock with us this late. We know it's kind of a late setup. It's at the end of y'all day. We working professionals, we parents, we partners, we people on the move. And so this is when we can make it work. So we happy and appreciate y'all popping in with us for tonight. Slide it over to one of my colleagues though. Somebody else listening.
I got it right here.
Yeah.
So y'all know today, we a full 7 days in the Black History Month. You know what I'm saying? And I got a few criticisms / I feel like ways to push this dialogue in a way that we kind of go through the archive in Black History Month. The first thing is, do y'all think I'm tripping on this right here? Do y'all believe Black History Month get reduced down to just Black people being accepted in the white spaces and places a lot? Or am I tripping?
Mainstream YouTube, I'm typing the word YouTube so I can tell y'all where to find our episodes. But mainstream Black History Month is a constant regurgitation of how we finally made it in, right? Which was good. I think there was a time period where there was absolutely necessary, where we started to need those reminders that we were in more places than we thought we were. And that still is true. We still have plenty of corners of the earth we still need to fill in. But I think now the reaction to first Black person too is not as exciting. And now it's just kind of sad, right? Like, you never want to put too much stake in what year it is, but it really is one of those. It's 2022 and y'all still haven't had, so it becomes more of a reason to be skeptical, to be pissed, to be curious about how this could possibly happen. It is to be excited about that. But that's just, I think, the times. And so I feel like celebrations of the first Black person too, or these old school surface level conversations about that, they starting to get, I won't say boring, because it's never going to be, uninteresting to learn about my people and what they've done, how they move, how they prevailed, how they pushed through. But I'm less than impressed with Black History Month, and that's both the fault of the mainstream just kind of culture that we live in, but Black people too. You know what I'm saying? I think there's some responsibility there and accountability that needs to be taken with the whole month.
I mean, I'm gonna say it does get. I won't say it gets reduced to being the first person accepted into a white space. I won't say reduced because I think the reason why it's significant is because what it means to be there, right? Because like making it through that barrier is significant. Like so if you exist in a time where there is active policy, culture, and society that's dedicated to being like, we keeping niggas out, and then the niggas show up and like I'm good enough, and not even and you know when we say good enough, that's good. When we say good enough for us, that's phenomenal.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That means I'm good enough to overcome the barrier that you're trying to create simply because of my race. That means that like my contribution to whether it's the art, the sport, music, the study, whatever, is that significant that the barriers that are created socially are undermined here because of me. You know what I'm saying? And so I do think that's something that's significant. I don't think that the value should be placed on the space. I think that because and I do think that's how it's taken sometimes. But the reason why that firstness is valuable is because it's showing that this person that was relegated to the outside, to the margins of this academic, this sports, this cultural field, this professional field, like was that damn good to where they broke down that wall, and other people was able to kind of was able to justify having more people in there because they was wrong. Period. And a black person was able to show them that.
That's fair.
No.
Lee? I know I see an interesting comment real quick. There's a bunch of things going on. Dale says, I'm probably going to say something you don't agree with, but I don't think Black History Month is strictly for Black people. I think that Black History Month is a way to revive the people as a whole, that Black history is everybody's history because everybody was, lost the comment, involved in that history and everybody was fighting for their freedom at the same time. The Black culture was fighting for their freedom. I'm mainly just thinking about the Irish culture getting their freedom as well because let's see if we got our follow-up statement. We got the cliffhanger. Right, but there's a lot that's kind of said there in terms of, I mean, I guess that's and I don't want to hijack your topic, but that's a fair question that I want to ask you since you did start talking about, Black History Month consciously is Black history for us? Like, of course, clearly it's for us, right? It gives us an opportunity to come together, to stay reminded, to learn about ourselves, especially a history that's constantly being hidden from us and taken away. But do you feel like Black history needs to be more for other people than it is for, like, what would that look like? What does that look like to you? Who is Black history for?
I think that right now how the mainstream pushes Black History Month is more about the multicultural integration into all the other cultures finally being able to appreciate and or value Black history in the ways that kind of sometimes fold into like stereotypical tropes. I feel like the father of Black History Month, though, Carter G. Woodson, I feel like he started Black History Month so Black people can feel more empowered and understand more about what we've accomplished politically, socially, economically. But I also recognize that I think that it was also partially for the rest of the world to also know that us as Black people has done these things politically, socially, economically, in all these great ways as well.
But what do we do in a world where we feel like they don't care? Like we keep getting, because you know what I'm saying? Like, and
that's why I'm like, why are we giving it? Like, I don't think
I posed it. That's the reason why I posed. That's the reason why I posed the first question. Is like when we start to fold in the celebration of Black history being about Black people going into white spaces and places, or Black people getting into white organizations, to me, it trades off with how we think about those Black spaces and places, those Black organizations, those Black schools, and it make it where we put so much in the trials and tribulations of finally being accepted into the white spaces that we finally get access to them. We literally pack up take our balls and go home or go to the white space. You feel me? And so me thinking historically about it, it's like, okay, the integration shit, this usually meant that now that we can go to the National Baseball League, we don't care about the Negro Baseball League. Now that we can go to, you know what I'm saying? That's usually, that's how it's happened. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead. I think, I think those two things happen separately though. Like, I mean, I think one of them is an
Okay, yeah,
inevitability. Yeah, I think one of them is an inevitability just based on, like, for example, like niggas start the Negro League because they want to play baseball at the highest level, but the highest level is denying them, quote unquote, right? Because we say the highest level because we're talking about exposure, we're talking about financially, I mean, all of those types of things, right? And so it's like if you live in America and you're a black person and you play baseball, right? You look at the Major League Baseball as the pinnacle of baseball, right? But when you're denied the ability to take part in that, then you go and create your own so you can still, engage in that activity and showcase your talent. Now, when you get to a point where somebody's able to kind of kick down that door, I mean, and I'm using more aggressive language than integration was, because it was more so like, all right, I open the door, take off your shoes, go wash your hands. Actually, you coming in through the back, if we being clear, you know what I mean? So I'm saying kick down that door. That's very liberal of me. Let me stop. What's a different way to phrase that? They was able to get invited in. Sure. Which is significant when you have been denied access. But getting an invitation in is significant when you've been denied access.
But I think the question. Go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, but the last thing I'll say to that is, because as much as we want to big up the Negro League and turn the Negro League into what it is, it's a question of resources. You know what I mean? And the Negro League, I didn't have the resources, and usually those organizations that sprout up as a response to being denied typically don't have the resources of the organizations that they were trying to get into. And so you are incentivized to actually join those organizations to get access to those resources, and then get other people to get access to those resources as well. So I think that's sort of nuance in that.
I'm real about you. I'll let Toya go.
Well, I mean, just the only thing that kind of frustrates me about not necessarily what Plug says, but this kind of relationship to an integration is history, especially now, and why it's so bad now to kind of focus on it, is because we've seen the full cycle. We've seen, for example, we've had conversations about Black apps, shout out to fan base. We've had conversations about Black Awards show, shout out to the BET Awards, and so on and so forth, where Black people get upset and recognize their value and their worth. They go create their own things, right? They use it as a launching board to end up in these other spaces, but then turn around as fair play. So what we end up doing, recognizing that we don't get celebrated, we don't get the credibility, we don't get the visibility we want in those spaces, and then we try to go back and create our spaces, which is where we are now. We're in this phase. We're actually the different stage of the phase. We're leaving the phase where we create our own Black stuff, and we're doing the re-entrance and revaluing white people stuff, because we don't go and celebrate BET Awards. We don't go to apps like Fanbase. We don't go and celebrate stuff that Black people do. So it's almost like when we talk about being accepted in the white spaces, it's rough. Part of me, in the context of Black History Month, thinks back to the history we were sold versus our true history, because I feel like the history we got taught in school when they made space for Black history was the integrationist history. This is the reason why we have an MLK Day and not a Malcolm X Day. Yeah, right. It's because
to me, all that part go in it.
And so here we are. Fast forward to now, where we are having this constant pull of war and this tug of war, I think, as Black people in our identity and finding our value, where we make it in the white spaces and we trying to figure out whether or not we should be happy to be here and try to take those over, or whether we should build our own, and you know what I'm saying, create a slow leak to get everybody back to those things. And I think TLDR, right, as we think about this integrationist agenda, I just don't know what we're doing with it, because we got one foot stuck in the world of trying to be integrated. We got one foot saying, okay, let's be separatists and create Black stuff, but then Black people don't go celebrate that stuff. They don't go support our Black stuff the same ways. You know what I'm saying? I think Telfar is probably the biggest, most just hardline supporter, like a Black brand and Black people. Like, but there's a lot of waffling back and forth, and so I don't know.
To me, integrationist history plays into that, though. To me, the integrationist history plays into that, where we're automatically conditioned to think about black things being dilapidated due to lack of resources and due to lack of infrastructure. You see what I'm saying? And it literally creates that trade-off where we literally say, well, because the National Basketball League has more resources, it makes more sense for us to go there. That always makes it where the white institutions always gonna be the master signifier, because by default, society that we in, They're gonna always have the resources. They're gonna always have the moniker to dictate who gets the exposure and how that exposure happens. So I'm still going on. Most of what I think Damo said, it jive on a surface level, but ultimately I'll be willing to say it's cap like that black hat he got on his head. It's cap. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because most of what he's come on with it. And when you come on, you gotta come correct.
I mean, think about what he's saying.
Though. Everything he's saying though is functioning in a vacuum that says that we see institutions and groups only for institutions and groups.
Oh.
So if I think the National Baseball League is going to give me national security, national exposure, and the Negro Baseball League is not, Damo says I'm going to automatically go over there. I'm not going to look at the other shit. It's like, nah, bro.
Bro,
you're going into the
listen. What you just, first of all, like integration was not a question of us, like proximity to white people. It was a question of access to resources.
I will kick your ass on that debate.
Bro,
set it up.
Wait, I want to be clear. Plug, restate your premise. Restate your
integration was not a question of proximity to white people. It was a question of resources. I stand on that.
How are those mutually exclusive? I don't.
Well, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like that, like niggas is literally trying to look at it like, well, you know, the people try to make it seem like, you know, the Negro League and no, bro, Negro League was not paying like MLB. Them niggas was going through it. Them niggas was going through it just to be on it. Just to be. I know why, but we know why, because white people control the resources. So that means that if you want access to them resources, integration is an inevitability.
You gotta go to control the resources, right?
Right.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying though. But that's why getting access to those resources is necessary in order to do other black shit. You can't do black shit if you ain't got resources.
But you can't maintain
the whiteness.
You said what? Say it again, Lee.
It's dictated by your proximity to whiteness.
To whiteness.
Literally, your argument is that white people have the resources. So in order for me to be able to get to the resources, I got to get closer to white people. I was smashed.
But white people, bro. But white people ain't the priority. It's the resources. So when I say it's not about
white controls the resources,
okay, bro. But listen to what I'm saying, George. Listen to what I'm saying. If I want to get into your house because I'm hungry, it's different than me wanting to get into your house just because I want to be next to you. Motherfucker, I'm sorry. I tried, Miss Carol. I tried. Nah, but for real, if I or if I'm outside cold and I want to come into your house, it's the desire to be warm. If I gotta be next to you to be warm, fuck it, I'm gonna do that. But that doesn't mean that my desire is that I mean that it's something valuable being next to you. That's the difference.
One of the resources. One of the resources at hand that you are talking about is the political currency and capital, the political capital and currency. Let me speak. Is material. It is relational, but it translates in very material ways. I can give you a whole bunch of examples. Kanye West is doing a great job, right, of demonstrating to us. And I said I was not going to say his name in season 3, but here we are, demonstrating to you the capital. Right, the currency that you get. So now when you get upset about your relationship failing, you want to be seen as a black man. But when it was all about you thriving and you kind of your whole agenda about being a social, it was about latching on to as many white people as you could, down to the person you had your kids with. So
we using Kanye as an example though.
No, what I'm using Kanye as an example of is pushing back against your insistence that resources are completely different from the relationship, the benefits to networking, the political and personal capital you get in proximity to white people. They help you navigate various lanes. Kanye West was a kid from Chicago. He was a great producer. He was doing his thing. He had his own, but until he started to expand that brand and cozy up and become relational, not just depend on resources, from become relational to whiteness, to white people, we didn't see. So I'm just animating the example because you seem to insist that resources that grab the bag and go.
You're not doing that. Nobody's being Robin Hood.
It's not realistic. It's not.
Going to the village and you're staying in the village.
I think the grab. I'm not reducing it to grabbing the bag and going. I'm talking about specifically why niggas incentivize being in those spaces. It's like if we let's look at schools for example. Like when you got schools and your textbooks, you got textbooks from, you know what I'm saying? Like matter of fact, y'all ain't got enough. You feel me? Or you ain't got enough teachers. You ain't got enough desks. You know what I mean? The building that y'all going to school in don't have heat in the wintertime.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like you don't got nothing to keep you cool in the summertime. You know what I mean? When you know when they say, all right, there's like we're integrating the schools. So if you live in this area, you can now go to this school. Fucking right. We're gonna get up and go to that school. So we can have heat in the wintertime and some of the coolest down in the summertime. So we can have enough books to be able to read. That's not saying that niggas don't care about the school that they left. It's that the school that they left that was what they were scraping together. But if you able to have access to those resources, it's not because I think there is a parallel in this criticism that when people talk about integration, they're not simply talking about like the benefits of it. It's there's an assumption that being close to white people is a good thing, right? It's because it's about being close to them. You know what I mean? But that proximity question is, well, we just wanted to be able to be seen as, or we thought we'd be able to be on the same level as. Like, nah, fuck, like anybody care. We know what racism is. Nobody think just because you can be able to sit in the same class as a white man that you'll be able to or a white kid that you now seeing is the same as them.
You sure nobody thinks that? That is wild. Like,
no, I don't think that. Y'all really think that's what niggas was on?
We think I don't know what you're asking right now.
Yeah.
I just think that the history of
hold on. The question that I'm asking
flight is like.
But what? Okay, let's talk about the history of white flight though. What was the history of white flight? White people lived in the better neighborhoods.
In this instance, it's showing you that you cannot separate white people from their resources. That even when we have access to go live by white people, because your example was the heat. You say that if I'm outside and I'm cold, of course I don't want to be next to the white person. I want their heat. To me, if your example is true, we're going to take white people's resources and go back to our communities. We're not doing that. You see what I'm saying? We're not taking the heater. We're staying next to them. You see what I'm using your metaphors, your analogies. This is your metaphor. This is your analogy. And I'm going further with you and illustrating with you how your shit is capped like that back hat on your head.
Bro.
It's capped.
Bro.
It's like literally right now.
Listen to what.
In 2022, you can think about how resources are literally developed and how resources are invested. You showed me the example of
lower your eyebrow, Toya. Lower your eyebrow.
Okay, I'm gonna lower it because I'm still finna talk to you, but I'm gonna talk to you with my eyebrows down here.
The history of white flight showed that you already conceded. You can't separate white
people
from their resources.
Listen, okay, let's stick with this. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let you do your thing, Toya. Let's stick with this heat analogy, right? You can't take heat from inside the house and take it outside. Of course, if you want to keep the heat, you stay inside the house.
Bro, you use hunger, you use heat, you use all those.
Right. That means that there's an outside and there's an inside. The resources are inside. You can't take the resources from inside to outside.
Now when you're trying to take their heat and then be cool with them, I'm gonna take the white person's heat and then be cool with them and make sure I'm accepted with them to make sure they happy with me taking their heat.
And that's what I'm saying. Look,
that's integration.
And then and the example,
that's why he's capping. That's why you caught it when you saying this shit. Your liberal ass said this shit when you started. You said it, bro. I'm not saying it. You said I'm being liberal talking about kicking down doors. You now keeping that same liberal energy and being like, no, integration is not that. We want the resources. Like, nah, bro, that's cap. White supremacy don't work like that. You know,
and I think the proof of that is the extension of my cycle, right? Where we talk about the fact that even after Black people build things, right, they have the resources. There's a lot of capabilities and opportunities, but this kind of notion that there's something meaningful about the proximity to whiteness is what has us skipping our own award shows, skipping our own products, skipping our brands, and still going and aligning and over identifying with white people. This is why, again, we've gone through the stage of recognizing that being separate is better, right? That our separatist mindset, that those goals were meaningful. And we've gone through the motions of creating our own and building our own. And we continue to do those things. But the question of why those things don't stick, I think, is the indoctrination of integration. That says the only way you get as far as you're really trying to go is if you circle the block and cozy back up and be in proximity to the very whiteness that that created your situation in the first place. And there's and so it's rough, right? The whole the notion then of and this kind of goes back to my point that I was making about the dreams that we've been told when we were kind of fed the version of history that white supremacy wanted us to have. Okay, we'll give you niggas an inch. But so you don't take a foot, we're gonna make sure you don't really know as much about the separationists. You don't know as much about the people who were for segregation. They just wanted to not be targeted, not to be. They just wanted to be in our own spaces.
I fear I've integrated my people into a burning home.
Come on,
bro. But okay, but see, this is what I'm saying. That is a historical civil rights narrative. Okay, the Civil Rights Act wasn't even the first. The Civil Rights Act wasn't even the first one. But like legally, Jim Crow was already deemed as unconstitutional when it was enacted, because they already said that free slaves. There was already legislation that said free slaves had every right of a citizen. That means that when they enacted Jim Crow, like we can go back to pre or during Reconstruction. I don't understand how y'all, as people that's so knowledgeable in history, are ignoring the fact that Reconstruction itself was integration. Because black communities, like black people, were integrating themselves into American society. And as they integrated themselves, it wasn't a question of quote unquote being separate. It was just coming together to create something for ourselves. And there were plans and there were plots to create resources for ourselves. One of the more examples that I thought was the most interesting was there's a narrative about and I won't be too long with it, but there's a narrative about black politicians that they were ineffective during Reconstruction. That's part of the reason why Reconstruction failed. That narrative is a complete lie. There was when you look at black communities that were led by black people, right? And again, this ain't a question about are we keeping white people away from us? Nah, these is newly freed enslaved enslaved Africans, newly freed enslaved Africans. These people making themselves a part of the society were creating showcasing examples of leadership, increasing literacy, using tax money to create certain benefits in their community. And people showed pretty much white people, it was called Southern Redemption. They used their access and their control to undermine all of that and then introduce Jim Crow. So then when we come back and be like, oh, well, the civil rights and integration started with the Civil Rights Act and the removal of Jim Crow, that's a lie. Because we had already did it. We had already integrated ourselves before they came, fucked it up, and then said Jim Crow, and then said, oh, no, we can just go back to how shit was before we introduced Jim Crow in the first place. It's ahistorical what y'all saying. And when y'all talk about integration took place, because it's examples of integration that's not situated around the proximity of whiteness, and it only became that way after Jim Crow.
Set the debate up, Toya. Set the debate up. She gonna moderate,
bro. Set it up, bro.
We can do a dead Black history ass whooping on Damo.
You a dead man. I'm telling you.
With the one thing I want to
even
point
with that
out,
historical analysis of that being integration, it still would be like, bruh, so you don't know shit about civil society no more. So now you really playing integration as history. Where you gonna just read the niggas was being set that debate up. I got that. That's easy.
We got a lot going up for Black History Month. And
the Taz exclusive go, you wouldn't be able to be in the same gym with me, bro.
Michael Miller saying that we just like Hitler.
We can set that up too.
Michael Miller
be in the same gym with me, guys.
Michael Miller said we 3 Hitlers, y'all, or something like that. I don't know. I guess ultimately.
Hold on. He want attention. Hold on. He
wants somebody.
Kind of racist saying about all white people, real racist. All right, skinhead. the dude with the skinhead picture having a conversation about talking about racism.
We have a disagreement, trying to debate each other. And here come a white person making it about them trying to steal center stage.
Not here, not on the Chop Up Show. So what we'll say about that is that we got a debate brewing. We'll see when that ends up being scheduled. Typically, we have our debates in the middle of the week. Our debate series is called Debate Me, right? You're talking to 3 of some of the greatest college policy debaters in the history of the activity. I hate to,
we ain't even capping either.
But we get down. You know what I'm saying? George was out there, probably the most successful out of the 3 of us. Who really, it depends on how you define success. But the man ate. You know what I'm saying? I also did a little eating too. And the plug from high school on through college, his college career was about that life and about that work, and was uniquely on the high school circuit back when, in the 70s when he was in high school. Was one of the debaters who really started to evolve what it looked like to interrogate questions of race and identity and social location and anti-blackness and white supremacy in the context of these political conversations we having. So a debate is coming. The series is called Debate Me. If y'all want to go look at any of our other episodes, we didn't debated about the vaccine.
You beat me, bro. They already know you beat me. But go ahead.
We've already had debates about the vaccine. We've had debates about Kamala. We've had debates about a whole bunch of different things. So y'all go check those out, but be on the lookout for the Debate Me series that these young people is trying to set up right here. Also, outside of this conversation about Black History Month, which I'm gonna let consciously put a pin on it, I do want to mention that we have the Black History Month Awards. We don't just argue about Black History Month, we actually celebrate it. So the last week of the month, the last Monday of the month, which is the 28th, we have the Black History Month Awards. The Black History Month Awards. So make sure y'all pat back in and see what's good with it. Lee, I'm turning back to you to show your plug. So let's do what we're gonna do.
Yeah, so we know for Black History Month 2022, a lot of things are coming to forefront about we really able to expose shit. You know what I'm saying? Really just keeping it simple and cute. You feel me? Black History Month this to me this year is posing a nice conservative contradiction. On one end, they have a literally synonymously said that CRT is Black history. Teaching about Black history and racism is CRT, and those two are the same, but in the same world where they want to monetize Black History Month. You see what I'm saying? We see that is a contradiction. We see that these two things have tension between the two, where you want to make it anytime we talk about the trials, tribulations, the historical things that's happened, especially when it comes to the law. You feel me? Because like, you know what I'm saying, Toy and Damo was putting it like, what you gonna say about Rosa Parks?
Mm-hmm.
How you gonna bring up, you feel me, the Birmingham bus code or anything happening in the civil rights movement without talking about how race was codified in the law? How can you talk about that while being in a state like Florida or Oklahoma or Texas, where they trying to outlaw you talking about literally things that can make people uncomfortable? Shout out to Florida.
Right.
It's not white people. They're trying to make illegal things that make white people racially uncomfortable.
Hey man. Real quick, I need to shout out Mario, who asked the important question. Where is your show, Mr. Miller? You got a lot to say in these comments. Why don't you just get you a platform, fam? You can even talk bad about me if you want to on yours. I don't know who's gonna pull up for it, but
they want to see the Black folks platforms.
I don't know. Stick around for it, but at the same time,
hey, last thing was funny though about Mr. Miller. He said, "Once I take the vaccine, like, fam, you just picking, you just throwing shit,
just saying stuff." And again,
hey, we not.
Our episode.
Hey, we talk shit, bro. We not easily triggered. We talk shit.
Not
easily triggered.
Just picking.
Now I'm gonna let y'all decide because time is drawing nigh. It's 1:17 that we've been talking to these people. So we got another chop, or we can send the folks in peace, or we can dovetail with the plug. What y'all want to do? I'm gonna turn it over to the plug because it's his decision.
How y'all feeling?
It's
George.
It's midnight. It's midnight on the East Coast.
Yeah, for me it's 11. I'm good.
You good?
I got 20 minutes.
Okay, yeah, cool. Because I mean, I ain't really. Because it's kind of in the lane of Black History Month, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the political chop. All right, Joe Biden, before he got in the before he was even the nominee for the presidency in the 2020 election, he came out flat out said, "My vice president is gonna be a Black woman." He got elected. We know that his vice president was Kamala Harris. Now, some of y'all will say he lied.
Shut up.
Some of y'all, no, actually, a lot of y'all will say he lied.
He lied about what?
Getting a Black woman.
Yeah.
Well, nah, because that's what he said in the beginning. He said he's gonna get a Black woman. So
I digress.
I see a lot of y'all will say that he lied. You feel me?
Hey,
but now,
go
ahead, Toy.
Well, no, actually, this is remember what you were about to say. Do not forget. Fixate on that thought. Noel pointed out that we don't have our show some love donation feature active right now for the Chop Up Show. But if y'all want to show love for us being back on season 3, we definitely appreciate that. Wow. That goes toward us growing and building out the show and doing some important things and getting.
We never had it on the Chop Up.
Okay,
it was on the Conscious Lee page.
It's on the Conscious Lee page.
Are we still on the Conscious Lee page right now though? Why it ain't showing up?
I don't know. We'll have to figure it out.
We'll figure it out the show.
Yeah.
So, but just thank y'all. Baby Oku said something. Noel said something. For those people who want to throw something at us, we definitely appreciate it. We love y'all. We're gonna figure that out. If you could set it to the side for us next week, or next time we say something cool, maybe not this time, but next time, toss it at us. We appreciate it. We really don't ask for much. This is a labor of love for us. We do it because we love y'all, love the show, love talking our stuff. I love talking to my brothers. But if it's a time y'all want to show love, think about us in the future, and we'll definitely set that up. But back to y'all. I'm sorry, I just want to point that out.
Hey, and as soon as I'm gonna say what they said, Rock said a black woman who wanted nothing more than to disassociate from black culture. Like,
I mean, and then Taz said, did he say black or African American? There's a difference. Not to him, not to Joe Biden. So when Joe Biden said, well, Joe Biden probably saying African American. He probably saying African American if you're being honest.
Michael Miller, find some new comments. We are vaccinated and boosted, fam. So I don't know. I'm bored with that comment though. About
I'll give you something to run with. I still got COVID. I'm vaccinated and I'm sitting in the house with COVID
right now. So I don't know if you want to get jazzy about that in the comments, but you're boring me. You're boring me.
Yeah,
Joe Biden.
Baby Oku said, "I'll never forget political." All right, we get into that. That's old stuff. You talk about old stuff.
Come on, Baby Oku.
Yeah, you talk about old stuff. Look,
yeah.
So all right. So Joe Biden was talking about, you know what I'm saying. Now it's a Supreme Court vacancy that's coming up, and Joe Biden is back on that train. I'm getting a woman, a black woman, and he's probably in his mind an African American. Because I would say that's the respectable, you know what I'm saying, version of a African American woman. And so given his track, actually, let me pull up the questions. The first question, symbolic and material. Y'all already know the political chops always they go the same damn way. Symbolic and material. Black woman on the Supreme Court. Symbolic and material.
In my opinion, a black woman on the Supreme Court, is it symbolic or is material? I think it is both. The reason why I think it is both is very simple. It is symbolic, right? We know that a black person, skinfolk ain't your kinfolk. So we recognize with Clarence Thomas, for example, who was already on the Supreme Court, that just because you are black does not mean you care about me or my interests or my intersections or the complexities of the black experience, right? You're very cut and dry with that. Part of it says you have to be, I guess, because of the nature of your job. But the other side is like, dude, that's not why we sent you in there. And that's not what we sent you in there to do. That being said, right, when I think about the material capacity of it, I was listening to, and y'all know NPR is my jam. I try to stay up on my liberal news as much as I possibly can so I can know what's going on around me. But they were having a really solid conversation about various justices and how various feedback that they've had about the different types of justices that have been nominated. When Sotomayor got nominated, her being a Latina woman, like the changes and the new considerations of things that they thought about. When Clarence Thomas got nominated, though, they specifically said, even though he was a conservative nominee, right, even though he's very much a Republican, it
being
changed
in the room
the texture. It changed the texture of the conversations when they were having racial conversations in a room. Even if they thought they knew what Clarence Thomas was going to do or how he was going to feel about a certain issue, when they talked about issues of race, it absolutely changed the just the form and the content of how they talked about what they talked about. Now, you know, how much that matters I don't know how much that matters, because when it's all said and done, the centering of objectivity comes first. So like, how much does it really matter that you were a black person in a room when your job is to be objective, right? There's no way to separate your lived experience, separate the things that you've done, but you also can't go in there being the black woman, because then you'll be scrutinized for being the black woman on the Supreme Court. So it's, to answer the question, it's symbolic, right? It means something, just like Clarence Thomas, just like Sotomayor. We hate to admit it, but Amy Coney Barrett means something. It represents something in terms of what we understand, you know, about the Supreme Court. It represents something. It's very much something. It's giving me very much something.
What we call the HCB and some shit.
Right. Yeah. So it is as much symbolic as it is material, and it's material because, like I said, those conversations transformed and it was attested to by justices themselves. Like the way that they approached some of those issues had to change because of who was in the room. You know what I'm saying? So I like to be on the fly on the wall, because I don't think it's gonna move the fulcrum too much, but I think it moves it a little bit in a material way. So both is my answer.
Yeah. Man, I feel like Damo didn't put me in my debate mind. So shit, I'm going one or the other. I would say it's more symbolic than material. It's definitely both. It definitely got some both. But I would probably,
surprise.
Yeah, I would say it's more symbolic than material.
I'm so surprised by Toya response. She giving it something.
Yeah. I mean, not negate nothing that Toya said, because definitely, we had the conversation about like what Clarence Thomas being in that room, what it meant for the psychology of other, you feel me, people that was, you know what I'm saying, had this position. But for me, a lot of that, you know what I'm saying, it's also just symbolic, sentimental. You feel me? On like some Afro pessimist, it's a centennial relation. You feel me? Like, yeah, that's cute.
I mean, because for all we know, the change in the room could be we stop using the hard R when we start talking about black people. Like maybe that was the change that was felt like now. So we can't, but we still going. You know, we know I think won't go for that, but we know he's going to agree with this. So we'll still.
And I will acknowledge my pessimism is kicking in, because I'm thinking about what that meant in real time for Clarence Thomas to a lot of times to reify the confirmation bias, or to be able to allow for other people to buy into their anti-black dispositions. Right. So it's like, I already think niggas is hyper criminal and niggas is lazy and niggas can work harder and pull themselves by the bootstraps.
And he confirmed
Clarence Thomas. Oh, you think that too? Yeah, man. Get that nigga 50 years.
Solidified.
It's safe.
You know what I'm saying?
It's so much safer to be the nigga in the room. Clarence Thomas, you almost got to go in and you can't beat it. You can be every. It's like Barack Obama. I could be everything but the nigga president. I could be a lot of things, but the second they start thinking I'm black people's president or I'm black people's Supreme Court justice is where all my legitimacy and credibility goes out the window. I don't feel sorry for niggas who had to make those decisions, because it's a tough decision. Somebody got to make them, but it is a decision that was presented.
For me, that's why I started thinking about it, because it's thinking about like shit, Donald Trump, and me being into consciousness, quote unquote, in my adult life is like thinking like, damn. So that Supreme Court justice, that president, you let it be known you was white people's president, and you've always understood that America was more than just white people. So we see, going back to the Afro pessimist think about black people and anti-blackness, social death shit, is like, damn. So niggas really can't, and it's really what I think that I will give Clarence Thomas a small benefit of the doubt on, is recognizing like, bro, you probably got caught up in playing that game in your young 20s and teenage years, and that machine ate your ass. And now you just been Steven from Django now, proving that you are the best overseer that can be. And that's really how I see it now.
And I'm actually mad because I gotta agree with this nigga George. I ain't want to do it.
I know you hate it. I ain't want to. Then you agree with? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I agree with you partially. That's why I said.
I know you hate that even more. But go ahead.
I mean, because it's like, to be honest, if she was replacing a conservative judge, then I would say it has the possibility of being something more material. Because I'm saying it's symbolic simply because it doesn't change the majority. There's still a majority.
He went even deeper into it. Like, even if you look at it from the political spectrum, it don't change shit. So
yeah, it really like it's still. I mean, Trump got 3. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like Trump got 3. Barrett,
did he?
Kavanaugh, and Gorsuch.
Oh,
yeah.
I forgot about Gorsuch. That's who I forgot about, because he was the least controversial.
Yeah, he wasn't in the news like that.
So. Yeah, but yeah, Gorsuch. Well, see, he was kind of controversial because Merrick Garland was supposed to be Obama's nominee.
Exactly,
but
and they said no, it was too soon, it was too fast. But then
right, well, no, they was like, well, we don't want to do it during an election.
You're right.
And then they fucked around and turned around and did Barrett during an election. You know
Didn't they do somebody during an impeachment? Wasn't Kavanaugh happening with
Kavanaugh was happening during the
Trump's impeachment in the backdrop of everything?
Yeah, because the Me Too movement made him, you know what I'm saying, made him famous.
Yeah, right. Because they tried it, bro. They tried it. But I mean, but that's why I think though. So it's just like it's symbolic because I mean, we got Sotomayor, which you know that's a Latino woman or Latinx. I don't really. I'm working on.
I think Latina is appropriate in this instance.
Okay, cool. Bet. And so then we can like, and then you go. We can add a black woman. It's I rely on y'all for that type shit. But it's like then we can add a black woman. You feel me? So it really. I'm not seeing it actually moving the needle, for real. But I do want to add the last question I want to ask. You know,
before you go there too, what I would say too, what Toya made me very conscious about, quote unquote, no pun intended, during us talking about the Kamala Harris shit, and after she's been elected, is thinking about how much more strenuous we are with black women when they hold positions of power, and how a black woman in that position gonna be held to a way different level than any person that ever held that position, and what that means symbolically and materially as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that
I
insight.
want to stutter it in. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just
No. That was good. That was good.
On my heart.
That was
I honestly
good.
missed it. You got distorted on my end a little bit. I don't know if it happened for anybody else. It might just be my internet,
damn.
but I kind of missed the last thing you said. Could you restate that? Do you remember?
Oh yeah,
Sometimes we
definitely.
say some- restate the last thing you said.
Restating it. This made me think about how materially and symbolically it's gonna be. I'm saying it's gonna be a lot of bad things that can be of a black woman holding that position because of us knowing how much scrutiny a black woman holds or gets when they hold positions of power. So thinking about how a black woman being in the Supreme Court is gonna be held completely different than any other position ever, because we know the nature of how black women are scrutinized and policed and put a magnifying glass. And oh, she wore her hair like this.
Are you objective? No, but it's like, are you objective? Are you speaking from the Constitution?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Which is why I hate the obvious, which is that black women were what pushed him over the finish line. You know what I'm saying? I think all the buzzwordiness of black woman vice president, black woman, whatever, all of these are now things. I don't want you to give me nothing because you said you would. I want you to give it because it came from the bottom of your heart.
Slow down, Slow down.
I'm sorry. What
my next question was, does this mean anything for his legacy? Because because just like to what you're saying, every opportunity he got, black woman.
Shout out to
black
you,
woman. Oh,
yeah, Noel showing love. We definitely,
You got that one. Put that up.
Yeah. So found it, season 3, episode 1, chop up at the best. Yeah, yes. Thank you, Noel. Monday is not the same unless it closes with the chop up. Y'all already know.
Love. Thank you.
Shout out to Noel. I'm gonna be with them. I'm gonna be with them for Black History doing a presentation over there. So shout out to the city of Littleton.
Hey, and to Noel, my administrator gonna be sending you that email too about them Conscious University classes. I talked to her yesterday and she realized she didn't email you back. So yeah.
And to Noel, Wednesday morning, I'll see you bright and early for Philosophies of Leadership HD training happening in partnership with the city of Littleton. We all got business over there. So as I can see, we love Noel. Noel is one of, and I mean, shout out to, you know what I'm saying, all of my white folk out there doing the hard work. You don't get an invite to the cookout, but we got love for you. Might save you a plate. She wanted the plate getters because she has, been with the chop up through a lot of evolutions, through a lot of growth, has always supported. We always take a second out to show Noel love because she always shows love back in a very material way. So we got to shout her out as we talk about these conversations. But I'm gonna toss it back to y'all. We were talking about
the legacy of Joe Biden, because that's been a part of like the narrative that he's tried to push even before he was the nominee. It was black women. I'm here for the black women. We got to do this for black women. You know what I mean?
I'll be real with you though. I think that like even though for us in real life, because we live in it, we know like man, we gonna die feeling like, man, Joe Biden, you performative as hell. Me understanding how them history books gonna be written, he gonna go down in history as being more revolutionary than Joe Biden. I mean, than Barack Obama.
Barack Obama, yeah.
Swear to God, he is. Like,
because they already, Obama's legacy.
Say it, Damo. You
Obama legacy is already the drone strike president. That they've already called him a straight up colonizer.
They cooked his legacy. His legacy is
deporter in chief. The
deporter in chief. Right. We can keep going. I think the only thing he really got is Obamacare. I think that's the only and then the Obamacare, Dreamers, and then the young black boys.
Yeah,
my brother's keeper or something like that. And then he let some niggas out of jail before he left. But but
it wasn't Kodak, it wasn't Wayne, it wasn't
right. But listen, Wayne wasn't tweeting in support of Obama though. You know what I'm saying? So
I still don't know how he feel about the police yet. We can't.
No, he knows how he feel about the police. He know.
Okay.
He love him.
But just to go ahead and close it out, just to touch on. Toya, you can finish what you were saying about like how you feel about his legacy, because you was kind of going into like what he's trying to purport as opposed to like what's like the reality. What are we?
I mean, I think he wants to be, this Barack Obama, I'm Obama.
Yeah, y'all see how y'all do niggas, man. That's the new one. Joe Biden over here is saving them.
Joe Biden got like what? Let's Go Brandon, Sleepy Joe. Creepy
Man.
Joe. Them ain't hidden
Man.
as Barack Obama.
Go ahead, Toya. Go ahead, Toya.
Well, no, my only thing about Joe Biden is that he really, for better or for worse, wants to legitimize this idea of sticking behind Black women because he feels like that is what's going to catapult him into relevance. That's what's going to get him over the hump in terms of these midterms. And so he's trying to harken back onto that again. Now, we all know he would have been chopped liver if he would have chosen anybody else but a Black woman because you made that bed. You got to sleep in it. You know what I'm saying? That cake been baked is one of my favorite things. So he couldn't dare come around this time and choose somebody else. But what I think will be interested, the front runner that I've heard the most about, and I think there are 2 or 3 that they feel like is somebody who can be confirmed from both sides, who will have agreement across the aisle, and is just qualified and relevant. But of course, already all of these Black women, their qualifications are being called into question. Amy Coney Barrett wasn't even a judge before she became a Supreme Court judge, but they want to call these other judges into question or whatever. But Michelle Price is the name. If you had to start anywhere, and if you haven't heard about her just yet, is the name that if you had to pick anybody to start to get used to and get interested in, I'm still learning more about herself and her background. But
what's her name again?
Thinking about Michelle Price, I believe is her name. Judge Michelle Price is where you should start kind of getting into the
She is a judge, and she's a judge.
Yes. With a lot of with a lot of qualifications, a lot of reputable background, and a lot of things that make her suitable for the job at hand. But it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds because, like I said, and started off my comment about before we kind of moved around a little bit, was we know all your skin folk and kin folk. We are skeptical about Kamala. We are skeptical about a lot of individuals who get put in power, and I think rightfully so. We have to have these healthy skepticisms and criticisms. Not all of us are about representational politics, and even the ones who are, the plug is shaking his head. That they come with conditions, right? Those representations come with terms and conditions.
No,
right?
I'm
so,
though.
I mean, so period. Regardless of how we feel about it, I want to be clear.
Yeah.
As much as me and George will get into the minutia of disagreement with Dominique, we're not gonna play our brother like he just out here saying any Black person sitting. No, there's some things you got to do to pass the vibe check. A lot of things for him too, right? So that's a more nuanced conversation we getting it. But bottom line is none of us are satisfied with just those faces being in those places anymore, right? There's a whole lot more that got to come with it. So we're gonna see. We definitely gonna see, but I don't know. And with the imbalance, let's be clear, there's 9 justices. She only makes 3. She only replaces somebody. She's not adding 2.
Right.
So we're not any closer to evening out the Supreme Court.
Right.
There's still a dramatic imbalance that her Black womanness can't overcome by itself, which is why the reliance on Black women being the magical Negroes of the 21st century is so frustrating, because you put us in positions where we have to be meaningful and create impact, but it's literally impossible for us to do. Crazy.
All right,
but here we are.
So, but now before we close out, I gotta put y'all up on game. Okay. Joe Biden wants credit for putting the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. But did y'all know that he's responsible for actually blocking the first Black woman nominee under George W. Bush?
Unsurprised.
Not surprised. Didn't know that actually.
From the Washington Post.
Not surprised.
As a senator, Biden warned President George W. Bush that if he nominated the first Black woman to serve on the Supreme Court, he would filibuster and kill her nomination.
I think it just love you too, Kevin. Thank you so much. Appreciate you sliding in on us. We know you be doing your school grind, your work grind.
Yeah,
So
Kevin, do your thing, man. Education is elevation, Kevin.
Always.
For sure. I
ahead,
appreciate you for tuning in when you did. The name of this judge was back in 2003, Judge Janice Rogers Brown. She served on the U.S. Court of Appeals, and she was considered the country's second most. She was considered the head judge in the country's second most important court.
But that proves in and of itself proves my point, is that Black women are a question of convenience, right? There's not enough examples you can show me you walking arm in arm with the protest, back during the civil rights movement. There's not enough. There's a lack of consistency, right? And I think that's convenient because those ended up, based on how your legacy is playing out, how you did all these crime bills, how you did all this and all that, they end up being convenient photo ops that you can point back to when we start to poke holes in what you say you're trying to do versus what's actually being done. You get to harken back to those moments, but they juxtapose moments where we didn't seem so sincere, didn't seem so secure. What happened what happened between back then? This was Bush 1 or 2. nominee.
Bush too.
Bush
It's
too.
2000.
So-
It's 2003, and
No,
it ain't even like it was like Crime Bill 90s. This was 2003.
So
We
what
was in high
happened between 2003 and 2022? You know what happened? The change didn't happen inside of Joe Biden. The change happened in society because now it's cool to align yourself with Black people and Black women in particular, especially when we look at the overeducation, the overqualification, and the absolute leadership that Black women have in this country. You can't deny the stats. You can't deny the reality. So now it's trendy. You get clout by hearkening and depending on and latching on to Black women. But when it wasn't cool and it wasn't popular back in 2003, when you didn't have to do all of that to show that you deserve the Black vote, you didn't have to do that to deserve that. You deserve to ride the wave of the Black people's fidelity to the Democratic Party. You didn't have to prove nothing back then. You was just riding the wave. Now when you had to prove something in 2021 or 20 whenever that election was,
I got a question for the plug.
Now you out here.
You said
I got a question for the plug to end out. I'm genuinely curious. Hey, and being real, I be on conservative TikTok sometimes.
Yeah.
And too, it could be caps. So that's why I'm asking you too, because it could be like, nah, nigga, that ain't right. With Biden having one of the lowest approval ratings of presidents, you feel me? Do you think that him getting a Black woman as a Supreme Court will help him get reelected, or we feel like that's it's ball game?
No. First of all, let's put Biden in perspective. Okay, Biden was actually introduced, man. And not even long winded because we about to close this out. Yeah. Biden was introduced to make Obama more palpable to white people.
Come on,
that was it. That's the only reason Joe Biden was, you know what I'm saying, Barack Obama's vice president. Because even with Obama being a moderate, right, a typical establishment Democrat, he was still
old Democrat dog,
right? Biden was an old, like he had the relationships with the racists that would make Obama's presidency viable. That's what that was. So that's what we getting out of that. Yeah. But here and now, Biden don't become president if there is no Donald Trump. Hey, it was a question of desperation.
Donald Trump going again.
Thank you.
But I mean,
thank you, Tracy Terry. Appreciate you. Appreciate the support and the engagement, the love, education is elevation. Hey, next Monday, bring a friend. Matter of fact, bring 2 friends. As a matter of fact, what you do is make you a margarita, get you a little popcorn, and put us on the screen. Put us on the screen. You feel me? Margarita, popcorn, chop up and chill.
Yeah. But look, merch coming soon. And so literally, like we getting the design and everything straight. And so like the way that I've been phrasing it, Biden is a rebound. You don't marry the rebound. You fuck with the rebound for a little bit. Like it's like, all right, I need to feel like Biden was America feeling normal, which was going back.
So he doesn't win the rematch
against Trump. Yeah. Shit, I think a rematch against Trump, but not because he nominated a Black woman. It's just because like Trump then pissed off too many white people. Like he's like Trump ain't gonna get out the vote like he did the first time. That's not gonna happen. It's like he's already, and then after January 6th, he's already that's campaign material. January 6th, Donald Trump running again. All they gonna do is play him at the January 6th rally right before they on loop. Yeah, so like he didn't piss off too many white people like for him to be reelected. So yeah, I don't like. So like if Democrats don't get or independents or anybody don't get smart enough, we'll just end up with Biden again, or to be honest, probably end up with Kamala. I
don't know. I'm excited to speculate a little bit more later on down the line. We start. I don't even want to. That's scary thoughts.
Yeah. Definitely said, "Whoa, let's see."
Yeah.
I don't see him getting it again. That's an old man right there.
Now, my boy Blue said he running people to Trump. The thing is, Trump ran them people to Biden, so they're not about to run back.
Musical chairs with constituency.
And then let's not forget that Trump undermined the election integrity so much on behalf of Republicans that they elected 2 Democrats from Georgia, a Black man from Georgia specifically, but John Ossoff lost an election in Georgia 2 years prior to that. Donald Trump pissed off, had white people so mad that they wasn't voting that 2 Democrats got elected from Georgia. Niggas got to remember that. I'll say this to close it out and pass it off to Toya to end it. It's cool. Like so, like I always appreciate it when black kids got something to look to and be. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Like that's always good. But like it's for them. It's for the kids.
Yeah, that symbolic. That symbolism is always priceless for kids.
Right.
I mean, we can't forget when we have our regular political conversations, the Supreme Court only becomes relevant to the average American sometimes and in some ways. Those decisions are big and landmark. But even the when we start talking about what's happening and who's doing whatever, the Supreme Court functions silently in the background of most of our conversations. And the ones that we have, you know what I'm saying, about abortion, about gun control and stuff like that, they still end up being detached because that's them way up there and over there to get to make those decisions. So we don't even get to vote for these people. We don't even get to elect these people. They just, because people we supposed to trust who already mislead us make decisions about them and give them credibility, we just kind of got to go with it. You know what I'm saying? So it is very much like you said for the children.
Somebody says Nancy Pelosi eligible. Nancy Pelosi is not getting elected no goddamn president.
Shut up. Hey, somebody blocking. We need mine. Somebody block.
She ain't got the juice, bro.
Nah.
She ain't got the
juice, what we got to remember though is that it's all about the majority. And if black people don't have the majority on the Supreme Court, that don't mean shit. Right. I mean, now as much as I like, you know, I will look to whoever the sister is. Hopefully, I mean, with pride. What we got to understand is the person that she's replacing, his opinion ain't gonna be no different from her opinion in terms of like what that vote represented. So, you know, again, look out for that political theater, y'all. Like it's entertaining as hell. Like that's where the symbolism comes from. It's entertaining as hell, but man, we just got to recognize that it's a game. It's all about looking good, sounding good, specifically during campaigns. And black people's like black gold, George. That's an inside debate joke.
Shout out to George Lee.
I hope I never see a video of that. I hope I never see that.
Hey, somebody, hey, to the debate world out there, if y'all got any video of the Oklahoma CL Black Gold 1AC, if anybody has the Black Gold 1AC, Black Gold, yeah, if anybody got that up, please contact me.
Yeah. Let's make this episode now. Y'all
at any rate,
we
telling inside jokes. We telling inside jokes at this point. But listen, our inside jokes can be your inside jokes if you stay with us and become part of the Chop Nation, becoming the Chop Up fam. So I've been dropping in the comments every couple of minutes, or I think twice throughout the show, where you can latch on to us so that you don't miss a beat. Every debate, every conversation, every episode. Sometimes we do special edition episodes when things is happening out in the world. We need to talk now. This can't wait till Monday. We do a lot of different things. You shouldn't miss none of it. So follow us everywhere. Go follow, go subscribe, hit whatever bell, hit whatever alerts at the Chop Up Show. At the Chop Up Show. That's YouTube, that's Facebook, that's Spotify, that's Apple Podcasts. The only place that's a little bit different is on Twitter, where you're gonna look for Chop Up Show Pod. Chop Up Show Pod. But y'all need to stay connected. If y'all love Lee, you're gonna love me too. If you love Lee, you're gonna feel all right about Dominique. Dominique's an okay guy. No, I'm just playing. You're gonna love the plug as well.
I want that smoke. Now, actually, Toya, I got into it with somebody on the Chop Up Show Instagram over that Whoopi Goldberg tape. Yeah. And that nigga said, you the dumbest one on the show anyway. I don't watch it.
I seen it.
I was like, oh, you a fan? I ain't supposed to be arguing with you.
The haters.
The haters. If you watching, I appreciate you tuning in, bro. I appreciate your perspective and thank you for engaging me on our Instagram post.
We love y'all. And we want y'all to come back every Monday night. This is what we do. I know next week is Valentine's Day. Be with your boo and then tell your boo we chop up and chilling. Go see your boo and then get done with your boo and then pull up to the chop up. If you ain't got no boo, don't worry about it. You got a boo tonight or next week. They married, so they can't. But me, you've been chose. I'm choosing you. Be my Valentine. And pop up here to the Chop Up. Whatever it takes for y'all to get here. But we got great shows throughout the rest of this month and beyond. We have the Black History Month show at the end of the month. We got a lot of surprises. I didn't even tell y'all about the new shifts and changes and kind of some of the other things we do with the show because I want y'all to come back and hear about it yourself and see it yourself. So next week, 7:30 Pacific, 9:30 Central CP time. So give us a couple minutes. Don't leave us. Just check back with us. We always coming. We always on the way. We always about to get it going. TheConsciously.com is where you can find Lee. He got some courses for you. What's the courses about, Lee?
Identity politics, race, class, gender, ability, sexuality, you name it.
Go find them. And also, listen, I got my stuff situated. Let me change it. Y'all see the boys back there in my background, but let me see. Where is it at? Y'all see them letters back there? That stands for higher definition. That stands for higher definition. I want you to live your life in higher definition, like your phones, like your TVs, like your cell phones, like your electronics. You want things in high clarity. You want things in high capacity. You want things, you know, you're able to zoom in and zoom out of, that you can really get the fullness and the crispness of, and you should want that in your life. I want to put you on game with that. I coach leaders. I coach leaders who are actually leading small groups, organizations, governmental agencies, shift managers, leaders, campus organizational leaders, community leaders, whatever. But I also coach individuals. I'm a mindset coach. I want to talk to you about your perspective, your vision, and how to elevate all those things. So make sure you stay connected to Toya G. Also, get on Instagram, Higher Definition LEC, Higher Definition Leadership and Empowerment Coaching. That's where you can find me. HigherDefinitionLEC.com is the website. If y'all want to check me out, I want to stay connected to you. I want to know what y'all got up. I want to
every Monday.
I want to encourage you. So come pop up on us every single Monday night. And in the plug, always dropping clips. This is where you effed up. This is where you this is where you got the game twisted. Right. Yeah. So make sure y'all staying up with all of us. We want to connect with y'all. We got love for y'all. Excited for what?
Oh yeah. He also do curriculum too. Yeah, Chop Up also do curriculum design. So if you need you feel me, a workshop to be designed, or you need a training to be thrown together, or maybe your organization is messing up with their mission statement or trying to make sure you hit your values a little better, holler at Political Plug.
We got you.
We out here.
With that,
go ahead.
With that being said, y'all know how we do. We're gonna start the show the way that we end the show. We appreciate all y'all across the 4 platforms, Consciously, YouTube, Chop Up Show, all of y'all. It's love.
In the city, we gon' slide, bet I be there pronto. Me, my guys, we really live. Lord, forgive me, pay my tithes. Please don't have me reach inside, and that's in the console. Keep the semi when I ride, lit off Henny when I drive. In the city,